just goes to show you that the white Arab does not have adequate knowledge of Islam. His knowledge of Islam, the white Arab that control and rule Islam, the white Arab who is actually a Middle Eastern based in the Middle East. He wasn't from the Middle East. He was born in the Middle East of a mixed race origin of all the people that came to the Middle East, including the original Arab, the Ishmaelite. If you want to talk about Islam, but the original Arab is the original black man of what you call Middle East today, or Saudi Arabia to be exact, which moved into Sudan and into the rest of Africa before the Ishmaelite came in. And when the Ishmaelite came in, they found them in mixed up already with the rest of the people that keep coming into the Middle East. And that is where we end up with this white Arab, a mixed race, of a people, overwhelmingly Caucasian. That's what a white Arab is. He's a Caucasian in origin, a mulatto. White Arab went on to take over Islam within the 6th century, and he continued to control Islam today and rule Islam today. This white Arab does not have the adequate knowledge of Islam. Whatever knowledge that he has that he is giving you, you're going to have to continue to learn the knowledge from Allah himself. Allah has ways to teach you Islam, which is based on the Quran, the Hadith, and the Sirah, and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. You as a Muslim, Allah is already responsible for teaching you His knowledge. Don't even worry about that. It is in the Quran. You have to respond to Allah. Ultimately, you're going to learn the knowledge that Allah is giving you. You're not just going to depend on the white Arab or a Pakistani or a Hindu or a African or a black or any kind of a confused Muslim. You're going to take it up from there with Allah to where Allah is bringing you that knowledge that He intends to give you as a Muslim to guide you in Islam. It is already in the Quran and the Sunnah for the Muslim. That is a guarantee. What I'm trying to speak about here is Allah and how do we remember Allah in the light and the context of what the white Arab already taught us in Islam that he called Dhikrullah. Dhikrullah. The Kaf Ra. The Kaf Ra. Dhikrullah. And this word Dhikrullah, from the teachings of the white Arab in Islam, which is a correct teaching that is found in the Quran and the Sunnah that he himself learned, he, the white Arab, right? He, the white Arab, hold up, check this. Okay, here it go. Okay, the word is dhikr, 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 dhikr. The kaf ra, the kasra, kaf hamza, ra damma. Dhikru, dhikru, dhikrullah, dhikrullah. So the white Arab have learned this concept of dhikrullah, and he goes on to teach it because he ruled and controlled Islam. You find him writing about it and pushing it in his ideas of the Quran and the Sunnah, and how he guides the Muslims, and how he himself guides himself, and what he have learned in Islam. So he have learned the concept of dhikr. Dhikr, Arabic word dhikr, is spelled the kaf ra, consonants, the kasra, kaf hamza, ra damma. Dhikru, dhikrullah. So the white Arab went on to teach this concept of dhikrullah, which is taught by Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah, which is a correct teaching of Islam that we need to learn as Muslims. We learn it from the white Arab. So he teaches the concept of dhikrullah. What is dhikrullah? Dhikrullah simply is mentioning of Allah. In however form you mention Allah, written form, verbal form, or intentionally, which goes into remembering Allah, which is another concept that I'm going to talk about right here on this recording today. Hi, this is a Momo recordings. This is a Momo recordings. On today's recording, I'm speaking of the concept of dhikrullah, which is the concept that is taught in Islam by the white Arab that control and rule Islam, which is also a true teaching of Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah, the concept of dhikrullah. So that concept of dhikrullah, which is mentioning of Allah, which is done by all the verbal altercations of Allah. Anything that is said about Allah is the concept of dhikrullah, literally the talking and speaking and mentioning of Allah, which is also known as dhikr, which is taught by Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah. For example, saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, or saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, or saying Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, or saying La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. All of that are within the concept of dhikrullah, which is also known as dhikr or dhikr, which is simply the mentionings and the sayings of Allah. This concept, which is a true concept taught by Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah, the white Arab have learned it in his sojourn of taking over Islam and ruling Islam, and he is teaching it all throughout Islam, and you find him teaching it, the concept of dhikr. So if it is the concept of dhikr which is mentioning Allah, then how do you mention Allah? You mention Allah by saying Allah and everything about Allah that Allah taught in the Quran and the Sunnah, how it is said. For example, Allah taught about takbir, takbirullah, by saying Allahu Akbar. That is called takbir. That is a dhikr. That is a mentioning of Allah. Allah taught about tasbih, tasbihahu wa tasbiha ismahu, by saying subhanallah. That is a dhikr concept of Allah. For example, Allah taught about tahleel, tahleelu ismahu, by saying la ilaha illallah. That is a dhikr, and it is of a concept of a dhikr of Allah. Allah taught about tahmeed, tahmeedahu wa tahmeeda ismahu. For example, saying alhamdulillah. That is a dhikr of a concept of a dhikr of Allah. All of these are sayings of Allah that Allah taught to be said of Him and about Him in a ritualistic form of a worship. For example, in your salat, you move, every move you make in your salat, you move by saying, you initiate the move with the saying of Allahu Akbar. That is dhikr of Allah, mentioning of Allah, from the concept of dhikr of Allah, from the concept of mentioning of Allah and about mentioning about Allah. Or you can just do like the Sufis do. They just say Allah, 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 Allah for hours. This ritual is done by Sufis. You just say Allah, 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 Allah for hours. That is a true ritual of dhikrullah, from the concept of dhikr, of the dhikr of Allah that Allah taught in the Quran and the Sunnah. Mentioning Allah and mentioning the name of Allah and mentioning the 90 names of Allah and mentioning all the names of Allah that you can find in Arabic and in all the other languages. All of that is a part of mentioning of Allah and mentioning of the names of Allah and mentioning about Allah. That concept is called dhikru, dhikrullah. And it's spelled dha kafra tanween consonant, dha kasra Kaf, Hamza, Ra, Dhamma, Dhikrullah. That one, Dhikrullah, is a concept of mentioning about Allah and mentioning of Allah and mentioning about the names of Allah and mentioning about Allah. Mentioning is simply saying it and verbalizing it and talking about it and speaking about it in words that are taught by Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah. This concept of dhikrullah, which is mentioning of Allah verbally, is taught by the white Arab that rule and control Islam, and it is taught by Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah, and the white Arab learned it and he carried on with it to teach it in Islam from how he ruled and controlled Islam. Now, you as a Muslim, whether you are a white Arab or not, that you have found that out to be true because it is in the Quran and the Sunnah, dhikrullah. Now, having found out about that concept as a Muslim, you are to do it by saying it. Tadhkurullah, adhkurullah, yadhkuruka. Mention Allah and about the names of Allah, and Allah will mention you. It is in a hadith. Rasulullah started in a hadith. He said, adhkurullah yadhkuruka. He was talking to a Muslim. Rasulullah told a Muslim, mention Allah and Allah will mention you. And with that, Allah will reward you for mentioning Him. Because it is what you do in obedience to Him that He taught of how to do it and demanded you to do it. Dhikrullah. Now that you, the Muslim, have learned the concept, it is your responsibility to perform it and do it according to how Allah is teaching it in the Quran and the Sunnah. Prophet Muhammad said, adhkurullah yadhkuruka. Mention Allah and Allah will mention you. You as a Muslim, if you only stop at what the white Arab is teaching you in Islam, then you are doing yourself a disservice by not coming to learning about Islam in the totality of the knowledge of Islam that Allah intended for you. Meaning that the white Arab have learned a part of Islam, and that is what he is pushing to rule and control Islam. The white Arab today, as I speak to you, are the rulers and the controllers of Islam. They took over Islam in the 6th century. 600 years after the death of Prophet Muhammad, the white Arab took over Islam and continued to control and rule Islam up until today. And he has only learned a part of the knowledge of Islam, and that is what he is using to rule and control Islam with, and that is what we are learning. But the time has come for us to break away from that. We want the whole entire knowledge of Islam that Allah intended for us, which is in the Quran and the Sunnah, that he himself, the white Arab, have learned that this is how Islam is controlled by Allah. Allah controls Islam and rule Islam with the Quran and the Sunnah. The white Arab knows that. But the white Arab have only a limited knowledge when it comes to the Quran and the Sunnah. You're going to see in a minute when I continue to speak about this concept of a dhikr, which is one of the concepts that the white Arab is pushing, that he have taught us. We have learned it from him, which is in the Quran and the Sunnah. So you continue to learn from the white Arab, and you don't want to go straight into the Quran and the Sunnah and learn from Allah. Allah controls Islam with the Quran and the Sunnah, and he teaches the Muslim with the Quran and the Sunnah. And the number one main way in which Allah teaches the Muslim with the Quran and the Sunnah, he demanded from the Muslim that the Muslim have to read the Quran and the Sunnah for themselves. So the white Arab does not have the entire knowledge that was intended by Allah for us. He only has a part of it. And Allah did it that way to show you who really control and rule Islam. Allah is the one that controls and rule Islam, and the white Arab knows that. But he don't emphasize that. He is supposed to emphasize that for you, to let you know that the ruler and the controller of Islam is Allah, and Allah rule and control Islam with the Quran and the Sunnah. The white Arab rule and control Islam, but his rule and control is limited, and limited by what he know about Islam. That's just you're gonna find out. If you continue to depend on the white Arab, you're gonna remain ignorant of Islam. If you continue to depend on a Pakistani Muslim, and continue to depend on a Hindu Muslim, continue to depend on some kind of an African black Muslim, or some kind of a black Muslim, or some kind of a human Muslim that is confused, you are depending on people that are limited in their knowledge of Al-Islam, and you're going to remain being ignorant of the rest of it. You're going to only go as far as what they are giving you, so you need to break away from the human beings in Islam. Learn whatever you can learn from them, but you need to take it a step further towards Allah, where Allah told you your knowledge of me and of my religion will start of you obeying my main law for you, when it comes to how I'm going to teach you knowledge of how you have to begin to read the Quran for yourself. Every day, wherever or at any time in your life, wherever you find time, you use that time to read the Quran for yourself, because that is the only way Allah is going to begin to teach you about what He wants to teach you about Islam, that can nobody else teach it to you. And Allah made it that way to keep control on you, to keep on judging you in this life, and that is how He's going to judge you in the life to come after you die. You're going to be judged. You are now being judged by Allah, and when you die, you will continue to be judged by Allah, and Allah will make a decision either to take you to Al-Jannah or to take you into Jahannam. Wait and see. The white Arab or whatever human being you have been depending on in this life is not going to be there to save you or to convince Allah about anything about you. You're going to be judged by Allah at that time. And now. And they're not going to be there to make any difference of the judgment of Allah. That's how Allah controls the whole situation about you. So Allah said, it is all about you. Taking this Quran, which is in a written form that the white Arab already prepared and wrote for you, the Mishaf, you take it and you continue to read it for yourself, and the knowledge of Islam for you from Allah will begin to come to you from Allah. You're going to see in a minute. In this concept alone, how Allah is controlling Islam and teaching Islam to the Muslim. If you are interested to find out and learn, all of that is started by you constantly reading and studying the Quran, which is the word of Allah, and Allah will begin to teach you personally. However He teaches you, He's going to teach you. Just read and study the Quran all the time. And study whatever you are receiving from whatever else that is illegal knowledge. Get that too. All of that is from Allah. Now, to show you that the white Arab does not have the entire knowledge of Islam that Allah intended for the Muslims, he only have a part of it, and he himself, he has to continue to learn from Allah. To show you that is the case, and whatever Muslim that is in control of Islam, your Imam or your leader or your community leader or your alim, whatever human being that you try to look up to, you better stop that. Look up to them and learn from them, and then move on with Allah now. Do what Allah is telling you. Start reading and studying this Quran for yourself and find out from Allah. You're not going to get it. It's only tied from no one else. You only going to get it from Allah. So to show you that the white Arab really does not have the entire concept of Islam, he only have a part of it, in this one concept alone of a dhikr, I'm now going to show you the other two concepts that are a part of the dhikr that he have no idea of. And I'm going to show you where I got them from. To show you what Allah is doing in Islam. First, the white Arab teach you about the concept of dhikr. Dhaka fra, tanween, constant, tanween, constants, dha, kasra, kaf, hamza, ra, dhamma, dhikrullah, which means mentioning of Allah. Hold up with me now. That is one concept that he know. There are other two concepts that he don't know that have the very same name. So those other two concepts are dhikr, with the specific tanweens to show them to you clearly. What are they? The tanween is what's going to expose what is the word is speaking about. All three of them, they sound the same, but when you put in the tanween, which are the markings, then you gotta know which one and what is specific concept does it refer to. The very same word dhikr is of a three concept with the same name, dhikr, and you know them by the markings, the tanween. So this first dhikr, which is dha kafra, tanween, dha kasra, kaf, hamza, ra, dhamma, is mentioning of Allah, saying about Allah and saying about the name of Allah and saying about all of that is of Allah. Just saying it. Just saying it. For example, when you say God, when you pray and you say God, however you say about God and about the name of God and about everything that is of God, You are just saying it, and that concept is called dhikr. Will that ra have a dhamma on it? Dhikr, which is to mention. Okay. There is another concept with the same word, the second one. So this one with the dhamma that the white Arab know is the second one. So the first one and the third one. The first one, the ra have a marking of a sukun, and the marking of a sukun means that you try to not mention it, to not pronounce it, or if you pronounce it is slightly. So the middle concept, which is the second concept, with the ra, with the dhamma on it, dhikru, is to mention, and this is what the white Arab is pushing. That is what they have learned. The other two concepts, the first one and the third one, he don't know nothing about them. You might go and find them that in Arabic grammar, but you don't find them in Arabic religious literature that he is pushing. Why? Because you don't know them. And you can only learn them from Dr. Malachi that brought out these two concepts in 1988, when he began to open up to the Arab world about Islam and laying it down and overthrowing the white Arab in Islam. Don't follow the white Arab no more. Al-Khidr alayhi salam is here with us. That they know and they deny, and they said no, Dr. Malachi York is not Al-Khidr alayhi salam. And whoever followed Dr. Malachi York is not a Muslim. Dr. Malachi York is not a Muslim, and whoever followed Dr. Malachi York is not a Muslim. All of that went down in 1988 when Dr. Malachi York laid down and overthrew them in Islam. Keep on running after the white Arab. He has something about Islam, but you're gonna find yourself, you're gonna need the rest of it. Where is the rest of it is going to come from? Some of it now is what Dr. Malachi York is giving to you, and then you're going to continue the rest of the search to find out about the remainder of it from Allah. So the middle concept of dhikr, which is the second concept, with the ra and dhamma on it, is what he is pushing, which is mentioning of Allah. You find him teaching you all kind of things. Tasbih, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, but this is how you play. Allahu Akbar, subhanallah, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wa akbar, subhanu rabbil a'la wa bihamdi, subhanu rabbil azim, and then you make a dua, Allahumma atina fi dunya hasana. All of that is talking and mentioning about Allah is called dhikr. Just talking about it, dhikr. That concept, he knows it. He learned it. He is not even 100% with it. He learned a part of it. Actually, the talking about it now, that is what he is pushing. Was it all about talking? Did Allah teach you just to talk? Nah. He only have learned that and he ran with it. Allah have another concept behind it. It is called amal. Everything that you do in Islam, however you do it, is called amal, a deed. And that concept of a deed he have also learned, but he is not adequate with it. We're going to push that one too. But watch this. The middle concept of dhikr, the word dhikr, dha, kaf, ra, are three concepts with the same name. The first concept, the second concept, the third concept. The second concept, which is the middle concept, with the ra, with dhamma on it, is what the white Arab is pushing, which is simply mentioning of Allah, dhikrullah. Okay. What is the first concept? The first concept, dhikr, with the ra and the sukun on it, and the dha with the kasra on it, and the kaf with the kasra on it, dhikr. or rather ذكر, 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 the first concept, the with the fatha on it, and kaf with the fatha on it, and ra with the sukun on it is the first concept, ذكر. And ذكر, the, ذكر, the with the the with the kasra on it, and kaf with the kasra on it, and ra with the dhamma on it is the second concept, which is what the white Arab is pushing. And then the third concept, dhikr. The with the sukun on it, kaf with the kasra on it, and ra with the sukun on it, dhikr. So he teach you the second concept, the middle concept, but you have no idea of the first concept and the third concept. All of them with the same word, only identified with the tanween, the markings. So what is the first concept? ذكر. ذا فتح كاف فتح راء سكون ذكر. What is that? ذكر is male. In the concept of a male and a female, a man and a woman, which is under asexual and sexual gender. Gender here is the word samad in Surah Al-Ikhlas, where Allah said, Allahu Samad, which is non-gender, as-Samad. So a gender being is a concept of a male and a female, a man and a woman. So Allah said he is not a gender being. Allahu Samad. He said he is Samad. The concept Samad is the concept of a being that is a non-gender, a being that is a non-sexual, a being that is not a male or a female, a being that does not have a partner, a being that don't give a birth, a being that is not born. And all of this is explained in Surah Ikhlas of how Allah explained of who he is. So what is this dhakar? The first concept that Allah taught that he should be mentioned and referred to with. So Allah taught in Islam, in the Quran and the Sunnah, that we the human beings, the Muslims, have to refer to Allah as a male of a he. But he is not a male or a he. He said that he is a samad. But then he taught that just refer to me as a male and as a he. Why? This is one of the concepts that the white Arab that don't have, that Dr.Malachi York taught, that Elijah Muhammad taught, that Farrakhan is pushing. You find the white Arab saying another concept that Allah referred to himself with in the Quran. Allah said, Qul huwa Allahu. Say, he is Allah. Huwa is he. Allah himself said, say, he is Allah. Qul huwa Allahu. translation in the Quran and the Sunnah and all and his religious literature, you find him referring to Allah as a he. He and the Christians and the Jews and everybody on the planet referring to Allah as a he. But Allah is not a male. Allah is not sexual. Allah is not a female. Allah is not a man. Allah is not a woman. Allah explained that he was not born and he never gave birth. Allah is genderless. But then Allah said, refer to me as he. Qul huwa Allahu. When you get into it, the white Arab will freeze because you don't know what are you trying to talk about. Yeah, I'm trying to bring you what Elijah Muhammad said about it. I'm trying to bring you what Farrakhan is continuing to say about it, that he learned from Elijah Muhammad. I'm trying to bring you what Dr.Malachi is saying about we are now moving beyond you. So keep on freezing because you don't know that much now. You have already been overthrown by Dr. Malachi. Dr. Malachi already made it clear that the white Arab is not a leader of nobody. Stop running after him and considering him as your leader. Stop misleading yourself. Come to Allah. Islam is about Allah. Allah is your leader. Allah leads you in Islam with the Quran and the Sunnah, which is the knowledge. The knowledge is going to come. The knowledge is going to come from wherever it's going to come from Allah to rule you with the knowledge. So the white Arab don't have adequate knowledge. Now, in this first reference to Allah, which is the gender-based reference, by the way, of referring to Allah as a male he, and Allah Himself said, refer to me as he. Qul huwa Allahu. Say He is Allah. Why? Elijah Muhammad said, the reason why Allah taught you to refer to him as a he and a male is to acquaint you with your own reality of a gender-based reality in which the male is the crown of your reality. We are, human beings are patriotic. So they crown themselves with the male, not the female. And Elijah Muhammad continued to say, within your concept, Allah is luring you into his reality of how he will crown himself as the top echelon of your reality by acquainting you with him, with the top echelon of your reality, which is patriotism, the male figure, the he. And he said, you sound cheap by referring to Allah as a she. You as a man, you are the head of the woman. You look pathetic to give up your role as the head and allow the woman to lead. You look out of shape, you look out of your reality. That is not your reality. Your reality is for you to lead the woman and the child. And by the way, in Islam, that woman that you married according to the law of Allah of marriage of Al-Islam and Christianity and Judaism, that is in Islam, Christianity, Judaism, that is in the Quran and the Bible. The law of marriage of Allah, when you marry that woman, now you have put yourself in a place of leadership over that woman and the babies. And that is the position that Allah want to acquaint you with, to show you that He is actually your head. Allah is the ruler and the head of the Muslim. Where Jesus told you already in the Bible that Allah is the head of the man, and the man is the head of the woman, and the woman is the head of the household, and the teacher, and the nourisher, and the sustainer of the household and the baby. All of these teachings, the white Arab is involved but not adequately. So now he frees, and if you continue with him, you will be frozen with him in time. So you need to come to Allah now. And that white Arab have to come to Allah now. And each and every Muslim have to come to Allah now. Because the Allah will continue to give the knowledge however He give it to guide you. Do you believe that Dr. Malachi's yoke is Al-Khidr alayhi salam? Do you believe that Elijah Muhammad is the prophet of Allah to the black people of America and the black people of the world? Do you believe that? Do you believe Farrakhan following Elijah Muhammad? He is in a position of a follower of a messenger of Allah to the black people of America and the black people of the world. Do you believe that as a Muslim? All you want to do is run after a white Arab and lately trying to run after some kind of a Pakistani Hindu Muslim. And if you run after some kind of a confused black Muslim, and after all of that running with the human beings, you are not coming to the concept of Allah, which is in the Quran and the Sunnah. You're wasting your time. So this word, dhikr, dhaka, is the word that gives you three concepts of the same word, and you recognize each and every concept by how the markings are placed on the letters on the word. So the first concept is dhakar. Dha fatha kaf fatha ra hamza. Dhakar. That first concept, the white Arab has no idea about it. He knows it in the literature of a grammatical Arabic grammar, but he don't knows it in the religion. Zakar, it refers to the male figure, the he, and Allah taught that concept about himself that we have to refer to him as a he male figure for the purpose of our reality being patriotic, that we have to place Allah in his place as a he, a male, and then we place him on top of the he and a male as Allah to come into his true nature of Allah, which is the genderless nature. We have to follow that concept. Allah gave us that, and He said, "Qul huwallahu." Say He Allah. He is Allah. And Elijah Muhammad said, Allah did it that way because in your reality you will be so cheap to refer to Allah as a she, and you removing yourself from your own position as the head of the female, you will look cheap to allow the female to lead instead of you leading. So who is leading you and that female and the children? Allah. So refer to Allah with your highest concept, which is a gender male-based patriotic reference that Allah took and put himself in it to show you that he is in the position of top echelon and leadership as a he, as a male, as you, as a male, as a he, as a man. And you find them teaching, you find the nation of Islam teaching Israel and saying that Allah is a man. And you jump in ignorantly to try to refute that, thinking that you are cute with the Tawheed. You have to come to the teachings. Allah is a man, a black man to be exact. Zakar, the first concept of the mentioning of Allah as a he. The male, Zakar. So Allah referred to himself in our concept to bring us into that concept that he is a he and a male, even though he said, I am not a he or a male, just to give you his position of leadership. The male is always to lead the female and the babies, not the other way around or whatever you all have misconstrued to be regarding a member of a hoopla gabla who what the devil is doing but destroying the knowledge on the concepts of Allah in you and cause that first concept, dhakar, dha fatha kaf fatha ra hamza, dhakar is male. Male figure, gender, position, man, he. Qul huwa Allah. Say he is Allah. To recognize his position. The position of Allah is of a top echelon, the head of the man, the head of the woman, the head of the baby, and the head of the household, and the nourisher of the baby, and the sustainer of the household. The baby later on to grow into another man or another woman, and the cycle continues. So Allah came to top all of that. So he said, just say, he is Allah. How else are you going to say about Allah linguistically? How are you going to refer to Allah? You refer to Allah as a it, Allah is not a it. You refer to Allah as a she, Allah is not a she. You refer to Allah as a he, Allah is not a he. So what type of language are you going to use here? So Allah said, I will help you out. Just use he. Put him on top now. This is what you know the best. The man is on top. Okay, put Allah on top and just say, he is Allah. Qul huwa Allah. He is helping you out to articulate how you refer to him. You refer to Allah as a he, dhakar. That first dhakar concept, the white Arab don't know it. These teachings came from Dr. Malachi and Elijah Muhammad, both of them of whom have been rejected by the white Arab. And if you keep running around with the white Arab, you are in trouble. Stop that. Learn from the white Arab and move on. Don't stick with him. Don't connive with him. Don't get involved in his business. He is on his own, and he is with Allah, and Allah got him, and Allah got you, and Allah got everybody. God got us all. God got us all. God got us all. So get with Allah. The first concept, dhikr. Dhikr. Dha fatha kaf fatha ra hamza. Dhikr. Male figure, he. He is referred to him as a he. He is Allah. Qul huwa Allah. Say he is Allah. In your talk, refer to Allah with a he. The second concept which the white Arab know, dhikru, dha hamza kaf kasra ra dhamma, is to simply mention about Allah, to speak about Allah, to say about Allah. And the third concept, dhikr, which is dha hamza kaf kasra ra hamza, dhikr, is to remember Allah. That concept, the white Arab don't have it. And it was taught by Dr. Malachi York. Dhikr, 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 dha hamza, kaf, kasra, ra hamza, dhikr, to remember Allah, which is the third concept. So I went through the first concept that the white Arab don't know. The teachers come from Elijah Muhammad and Dr. Malachi York. The white Arab only know it in the language literature, but he don't know it in the religious teachings, which is in the Quran and the Sunnah. The second concept, which is part of it, that the white Arab know, not all of it, I went through it. And the third concept, the first concept, which is the male dhakar, and the second concept, which is mentioning of Allah, saying of Allah, and then verbalizing of Allah, and then the third concept, dhikr, which is dha hamza kaf kasra ra hamza, dhikr, dhikrullah, 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 Dhikrullah is remembering of Allah. And this is the concept I'm going to close with. Dhikrullah, 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 remembering of Allah. So Dr. Malachi York said, how do you remember Allah? You remember Allah with how you experience Allah, of who or what or where is Allah. Who is Allah? What is Allah? Where is Allah? Who or what or where is Allah is how you remember Allah. So in Surah Al-Ikhlas, Allah describes himself to you. And in the Quran, Allah continues to describe himself to you as a Muslim and teach himself to you as a Muslim. So when you read the Quran and you study those concepts, Allah will begin to bring you into a richer qualification of beginning to make himself known to you. In a way, you got to know Allah outside Allah bringing you into the knowledge of him. So what do you really know about Allah is how you remember Allah. So how do you remember Allah? How do you remember anything? You remember anything when you go into your past memory and recollect the accounts of those encounters and experience with that thing that you are remembering. So you remember Allah by going back into your memory and you recollect the accounts of the past experiences and encountering with Allah within the concept of who is Allah, what is Allah, and where is Allah. But where is the concept, which means that the concept of knowing Allah, but the concept of knowing Allah only comes from Allah, not from you. So how much of Allah, how much do you know about Allah that came from Allah to you? Almost nothing. You almost only at the square one, knowing Allah only by the name, the word Allah. Alif Lam Lam Ta Marbuta, Allah. A-L-L-A-H, God, Allah, God, G-O-D. Only that word, that is where you start. So the person that is named with this word, the person that is named with this word, who is that person? Who is Allah? Do you know Allah like that? Where is Allah? What is Allah? What is Allah doing? When have you ever encountered Allah in person? Even to sit around here to say that you can remember him. If you haven't received from Allah of how Allah is teaching you of himself within the concept of who he is, what is he, where is he, what does he do, then you remain in the adequate knowledge to the point that you don't know nothing about Allah, you don't experience anything about Allah, you don't encounter anything about Allah, but the simple word Allah, which is A-L-L-A-H, Alif Lam Lam Ta Marbuta, which means God, G-O-D. That's all you're going to remember. And from there, whatever you know about Allah that has to come from Allah, by Allah qualifying you through the rituals that is teaching you in the Quran and the Sunnah, that you have to do when you read the Quran and the Sunnah and learn them and do them ritualistically towards obeying Allah, that Allah will qualify you through those rituals to begin to bring in you and receive from him his qualification of you, of making himself known to you. That is as far as you're going to go of knowing of Allah. Other than that, you're going to be stuck with the word Allah only. And that is all you're going to remember. So there goes the third concept. Dhikrullah, remembering of Allah. So these three concepts right here, of which one of them the white Arab know a part of it, which is the middle concept, the second concept, dhikr with the ra with the dhamma. So the first is the dhikr, the dhakar, dhakar, reference to Allah as a male, as a he. The ra with the fatha, dhakar. The ra with the sukun, dhakar. So dha fatha, kaf fatha, ra sukun, dhakar. The concept of referring to Allah as a male figure. He is Allah. And then the concept of mentioning of Allah. And then the concept of remembering of Allah. These three concepts with the very same word are in Islam, and the white Arab don't know nothing about them, very little about them, almost nothing about them. These three concepts were taught by Dr. Malachi York. This is a Momokwala Mom recordings. This is a Momokwala Mom recordings. On today's recording, I spoke of the three concepts of dhikrullah, the concept of referring to Allah as a he, dhakar, and the concept of mentioning of Allah, dhikr, and the concept of remembering of Allah, dhikr. These three concepts, of which the white Arab almost know nothing about them or very little about the middle concept, the second concept, you have to learn them in the Quran and the Sunnah via how Allah is teaching them, in this case through Elijah Muhammad and Dr. Malachi York alayhi salam, which give you the ideology that you have to come to the knowledge of Allah, of Al-Islam intended to you by Allah in the Quran and the Sunnah, where Allah have said in the Quran that you, the Muslim, have to continue reading this Quran so that you learn by Allah the knowledge of Allah, of Al-Islam for you. You can learn from other sources, but you have to come to the main source, which is learning from Allah himself, and that is done by doing what Allah have ordered in the Quran and the Sunnah, where Allah said in the Quran that you, the Muslim, have to continue reading the Quran so that Allah will continue to pour the knowledge of Al-Islam into you, of how Allah is judging you today in your life and a dunya, and to judge you in your life al-akhirah. That will be the consequences of Allah having a mercy on you and taking you to Al-Jannah, or God forbid, if you are reluctant to come into the knowledge of Allah and perform your duties as a Muslim, Allah can actually punish you for your sins and throw you into a hell with the rest of the ignorant human being. Islam is not a religion of ignorance. Islam is a religion of knowledge, ilm. And we have to learn the knowledge of Al-Islam from Allah by reading the Quran, and how Allah is qualifying us to that knowledge from Him of Al-Islam that we need for Allah to judge us today in the dunya and akhirah, and give our sins and mistake and put us in His mercy and take us into Al-Jannah, heaven. These three concepts of dhikr, I have explained them right here on this recording, and I have to refer to white Arab or any other Muslim as people that we learn from, but we only depend on Allah of learning of Al-Islam, and we seek the knowledge truly from Allah by doing what Allah simply tells us to read the Quran, and that is how Allah will qualify us to learn by Him, to learn the knowledge of Islam that He, Allah, intended for us from Him. Dhikrullah, dhakr, the position of the reference to Allah as a male, as a he, which Allah taught us, and taught us that He is not that, just for the references. And then dhikrullah, mentioning of Allah, which is what Allah teaches in the Quran, that we have to glorify the name of Allah and praise the name of Allah and pray to Allah and obey Allah, and all of that involve verbalization about Allah. That is called dhikru, ra with a dhamma. And then dhikrullah, which is remembrance of Allah, which I went into in a limited form, that you remember Allah by how Allah has qualified you to know Him. And if that is not available, so it's going to be to the rock bottom of the word Allah, the name Allah. That is all you're going to remember if you don't know anything else. How do you learn about Allah? To know about Allah is to read the Quran and seek the knowledge of Islam. A part of it is how Allah teaches you about Himself. You're only going to learn about Allah from Allah by Allah when you perform the rituals of how to learn about Allah by Allah from Allah, and Allah qualifying you of making Himself known to you as far as He give you and you receive from Him by the qualifications of your rituals that you perform. So the knowledge and implementing the knowledge, al-ilm wal-amal. This is a Momokola moment. With that, I conclude. A Momokola mom is off this recording, and until other recordings similarly, I will come back here and continue to explain to you and make everything even much more clearer right here with Amun Kula Moon signing off this recording. Dhikr, dhikru, dhikr, dhikr, dhakar, dhikru, dhikr. Dhakar, dhakar, huwa Allah, dhikru, qul, sabbih bi ismi Allah, وحدث بالله ذكر الله أذكر الله يذكرك. And with that, I conclude. A Momokola mom is off this recording. Until then, a Momokola mom is officially signed off this recording. This is a Momokola mom on a Momokola mom recordings. This is a Momokola mom on a Momokola mom recordings. Who is Dr. Malachi York? من هو Dr. Malachi York? Dr. Malachi York, Dr. Malachi York. وما أدراك من هو Dr. Malachi York? Dr. Malachi York, Dr. Malachi York. Who is Dr. Malachi York? Dr. Malachi York. Dr. Malachi York, as they say, is a black Muslim leader of the Muslim community of the Nuwapu community, or the Nuwapu Ansari Muslim community. That is started and based in Bushwick, New York. So New York, York, Dr. Malachi York, York. You see there the York family, of whom New York is named after. Esoterically, you're going to find Dr. Malachi York is deep like that. But Dr. Malachi York, beside what the world politically paint him to be, a black Muslim and a leader of a Muslim community of the Ansarullah of the Nuwapu community that is based in Bushwick, New York, that is the political description of the world of the United States government of Dr. Malachi York. Beyond that, Dr. Malachi York said that he is simply Melchizedek in the Bible, which is known in the Quran as Sadaqallahul Azim. So when Muslims read the Quran, and when they finish reading the Quran, they say Sadaqallahul Azim, which means that the great God Allah have said the truth. When a Muslim finish reading the Quran, you start the Quran by saying ta'widhat. You say A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim, and then you say the tasmiyat. You say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and then you get into it. You read it. You keep reading it. For example, you read Surah Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. And then when you finish reading that surah, reading the Quran, at the end of it, what does the Muslim do? Then they say, Sadaqallahul Azim. That Sadaqallahul Azim that the Muslims say at the end of the Quran to testify that great Allah have said the truth is a concept that the Muslims have no idea of, that Dr. Malachi York taught. The Muslims actually refer to it as a concept that means that Allah, the great God, have truly said the truth. But they don't know how to break it down for what it really means. Dr. Malachi York broke it down. So it is actually three concepts. The concept of Sadaq, which is a name. And then the concept of Allah, which is a name of Allah. And then a concept of a reference of greatness of Allah, Al-Azim. So Sadaq Allah Al-Azim. That Sadaq is Dr. Malachi York, which is also in the Bible Melchizedek. Melchizedek is simply Malak al-Sadaq, the truthful angel of God. That's what it means in Hebrew. Melchizedek, it simply means the truthful angel of God. And that is that first Sadaq in Sadaqallahul Azim that the Muslims say at the end of the Quran to testify that Allah, the great God, Allah have said the truth, but they don't know the concept that is being carried with the statement. How did Allah say the Quran? By saying it to himself. And then saying it to Prophet Muhammad. How? How did Allah reveal the Quran to Prophet Muhammad? Through Angel Jibreel. What the white Arab don't know is and some of it that they know that they hide, is that there are other groups of angelic beings that are involved or in the process of revealing the revelations to Prophet Muhammad, which is actually teaching the Quran or revelations to Prophet Muhammad from Allah. The word revealing here means teaching. So when Jibreel comes to Prophet Muhammad to reveal the Quran that Allah is sending with him to come and reveal to Prophet Muhammad, he is actually teaching Prophet Muhammad that Quran, that revelation. And Jibreel was not the angel of Allah involved with delivering the Quran to Prophet Muhammad or teaching the Quran to Prophet Muhammad. There was another angel that was involved. And that angel, you call him, in the Bible you call him Melchizedek. Which means the truthful angel of the Lord. In Arabic means Al-Malakullahu Sadiq, which is what Sadaq Allahul Azim is actually Sadaq of Allahul Azim, the great, the truthful angel of the great God Allah. Who is that truthful angel? Who is that Sadaq in the Sadaq Allahul Azim? Dr. Malachi York. And in other parts of the Quran, Allah teaches also Dr. Malachi York in Surah Al-Kahf to be Al-Khidr. So in the Quran, Dr. Malachi York is Al-Khidr. Dr. Malachi York is Melchizedek, who is actually Sadaq of Allahul Azim. Malakullahu Sadiq. The reason why Muslims are not coming to this kind of teachings and the concepts that they need to get the rest of the teachings that Allah is teaching is because Muslims are headlocked with the white Arab that in 1988 denounced Dr. Malachi York and referred and declared Dr. Malachi York not to be a Muslim, and declared that anybody that follows Dr. Malachi York is not a Muslim. And if you continue to be a headlock with the white Arab, you're going to freeze in the type of knowledge that he is pushing, and you're not going to come into the concept that Elijah Muhammad are pushing about Islam. Elijah Muhammad, another prophet of Allah to the black people of America and the black people of the world. You are going to be headlocked with the Arab concept of Khatim al-Nabiyyin, that they say Prophet Muhammad is, that they say that Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet of whom there is no any other prophet, that Dr. Malachi York explained that Khatim al-Nabiyyin simply means the ring of the Prophet Muhammad that was also his seal of approval that he used to stamp with. Any kind of a document that Prophet Muhammad was dealing with officially, he has a seal that he used to stamp it and seal it with, and that also mounts to be also one of his ring that he wear. And on that ring, which is also a seal, it is written, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. That is simply what it means. Khatim al-Nabiyyin is the seal of the prophet that he used. So they come and say that Prophet Muhammad himself is the seal of the prophet. Yes, he is the seal of the prophet by approving the work of the prophets They told that lie of themselves. That not what it means. Dr. Malachi York said that it only means one is when that mount as a seal of approval of any kind of a document or any kind of a revelation. Has to be approved by him. So if a man come today and he said that I am sent by Allah, he have to prove to us how Prophet Muhammad have approved of them and sealed by them. They have to be in the concept of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and Elijah Muhammad is in that concept of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Elijah Muhammad did not come outside of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. He came within that concept. So that is his approval. And he said he was sent by Allah. Prophet Muhammad, Allah in person, sent him to the black people of America, the black people of the world, or any other human being that is listening, that is interested in the knowledge of Al-Islam, join in. So Elijah Muhammad testified that Arabian prophet Muhammad is a prophet of Allah, and he testified that Allah is God, and he told you that Allah is in the person of Prophet Muhammad, a black man. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? You're going to be headlocked with the white Arab in his redundancy on his way out. The white Arab is not a leader of nobody. Stop playing that game. The leader of the Muslim and the ruler of the Muslim is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah does that with the Quran and the Sunnah and the Shahadatain. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Everybody that is pushing whatever they are pushing in Islam, they have to be approved by La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. If they don't testify that Allah is God and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger and his prophet, don't approve of them and stay away from them. That is the meaning of Khatim al-Nabiyyin wal Mursaleen. And Elijah Muhammad came testifying that Allah is God and Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of Allah and a messenger of Allah. So that is how he was approved by Prophet Muhammad. That concept was taught by Dr. Malachi York. So Dr. Malachi York in the Bible is Melchizedek. In the Quran is the same Melchizedek that in Arabic it is said Sadaqallahu al-Azim, Malakullahu al-Sadiq, Malakullahu al-Azim al-Sadiq, Sadaqallahu al-Azim, Sadaqallahu al-Azim. That Sadaq is Melchizedek, is Dr. Malachi York, and that Al-Khidr is Dr. Malachi York. So who is Melchizedek in the Bible? Dr. Malachi York. Who is that? And who is Melchizedek in the Quran? Sadaq Allahu al-Azim, the truthful angel of the great God Allah. Melchizedek in the Quran, Dr. Malachi York. Who is that angel of Allah? Who is that? Al-Khidr alayhi salam in the Quran is Dr. Malachi York. Who is that? Dr. Malachi York, Al-Khidr alayhi salam. All of these are his roles as an angel of Allah. So who is Dr. Malachi York as an angel of Allah? He is doing all of that work. So you find him explaining to you the Quran and teaching you the Quran and teaching you all the revelations of Allah that you say are a Quran or a Bible. Simply the revelations of Allah. You find him teaching that, and this is what he was teaching the prophets and teaching Prophet Muhammad. You find him in Surah Al-Kahf teaching Moses, and you find him today teaching you how he was teaching Prophet Muhammad. And the Muslims, as he continued in the world today to teach you with over 360,000 books that he has already written about how he is teaching you about Allah and about your journey that you have to undertake on the way back to Allah. With the knowledge of Al-Islam. Where is the knowledge of Al-Islam coming from? From Allah. How? Some of it is coming with the white Arab. Some of it came with Prophet Muhammad. Some of it came with all the prophets. Some of it is coming with Elijah Muhammad. Some of it is coming with Dr. Malachi, and some of it is coming with you by simply referring to this Quran as a book that you keep reading and be qualified by Allah for the knowledge of Allah for you as you continue to read it and study it and learn it. And all of that is from Allah, not for you to be sitting around here saying that is that and that is not that. Who are you to be judging in Islam? This is what the white Arab is doing. Overstepping his bounds as a ruler and a leader in Islam to try to be the all of it all and the measure of it all. No, you are not all. You don't have it all, homie. You are limited by what you know. Keep yourself in your place. We ain't messing with you, so don't mess with us. All of you African Muslims need to wake up now. Come to Allah. All of you human Muslims and the Arabs, all of you Muslims, wake up now and come to Allah. And stop being hunted down and headlocked by another human being like you with a limited knowledge. Move out of that and come to Allah. Here comes Elijah Muhammad. Here comes Farrakhan. Here comes Dr. Malachi York. Here comes the white Arab. Here comes the African Muslims and the African. Here comes the Hindu Muslims and the Hindus. Here comes whatever human being in Islam or out Islam. All of that. Here comes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his day, the seventh day. So who are you going to follow now? You straight up going to have to follow Allah as a Muslim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. Okay. Dr. Malachi York is an angel of Allah. That is who Dr. Malachi York is. Who is Dr. Malachi York? Dr. Malachi York is an angel of Allah. He is Melchizedek in the Bible and the Quran. In the Bible, Melchizedek, in the Quran, Melchizedek is Sadaqallahul Azim. He is also Al-Khidr alayhi salam in the Quran. He is many other things that he taught you himself. But on top of that, and with it all, Dr. Malachi York is an angel of Allah that was sent by Allah to bring knowledge into the world that is known in the Quran as Al-Khidr. Al-Khidr is described in the Quran and by Dr. Malachi York to be the most high amongst you with the most knowledge about the most high. Who knows more about Allah among us? Dr. Malachi York. You're not going to know about Allah more than Dr. Malachi York. Forget it. That is why he established over 360,000 books for you to begin to learn about Allah and your journey of Al-Islam back to Allah. You want to compete with Dr. Malachi York? How? Where are you gonna start with that competition? That is what the white Arab did and find themselves frozen in their headlock. And if you allow yourself to be headlocked by a white Arab, that is on you. Dr. Malachi York have already overthrown them. It is all about knowing about Allah, the Most High. So who is among us that know the most knowledge about the Most High? Dr. Malachi York. So he is the Most High among us because he knows more about all of us, about the Most High, and he proved it by his works. And among his works, y'all, he wrote over 360,000 books on the subjects. Start learning from the angel of Allah, Dr. Malachi York. What is an angel? Do you know an angel of Allah is a being created by Allah from the light of Allah and their mind and the mind of Allah are locked up and intertwined together? Go and study about the angelic beings of Allah. Allah created them from His light and locked them up in His mind. They don't have a mind of their own. Their mind is locked up with the mind of Allah. They don't have a will of their own. Their will is locked up with the will of Allah. So whatever Allah intended to do is what they are doing. Allah intended Dr. Malachi York to come into the world and decimate the knowledge of Al-Islam for the world. If you want to learn about Al-Islam and learn about Allah the Most High, get into the teachings of Dr. Malachi York and begin your learning with that Quran, that hadith, that seerah, that sunnah, that Bible, or whatever revelation or knowledge you're running around with. You will find Dr. Malachi York had covered that. Dr. Malachi York, Dr. Malachi York. Who is Dr. Malachi York? Dr. Malachi York is an angel of Allah. An angel of Allah? Yes, Dr. Malachi York is an angel of Allah, and Allah sent him into the world to disseminate his knowledge to the people of the world. So he gave you the most knowledge about Allah to acquaint you with your journey of Al-Islam, your journey back to Allah. Dr. Malachi York. Dr. Malachi York. Dr. Malachi York